Hey guys, welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers, and today we are reviewing Near and Far. I don't know if you can see it, but it's there between us. The whole point of the game is for you to build a group of travelers in your party to help you take on the challenges of exploring a map and try to get the most victory points. It's actually not cooperative, which I thought was really cool because a lot of the games we play that are like story-driven, narrative-driven, campaign-based, we always have like competitive in a sense, or cooperative rather.
The version that we played today,
right,
is more competitive. So
well, the whole game is competitive. So like that's the thing; it's not cooperative in any way. The campaign mode is not cooperative either.
Oh.
It's competitive.
Oh, so the whole thing is
yeah. So this is a competitive game.
Okay.
It's not cooperative at all. So if you like co-op games, this is not the one because there is no cooperative mode in this. It's all competitive. You're all trying to get the most points, and the victory condition is that. You have these player boards, and there's these little tents. Can you go ahead and grab one of those little tent pieces? Yeah, so these little tent pieces, they go on the board, and when you get rid of all 14 of your tents, you end up, that's the game ender. That's how the game ends. And so the whole point of the game, gather people, gather resources, and fulfill contracts. And so those little contracts are right here. You can get advanced versions or you can get these. And they're these little artifacts. And these artifacts, at the top of them, have symbols. And all of these symbols will give you something. If it has an arrow, it lets you move an extra space. If you got a sword, you get an extra hit in combat. If you get a heart, that increases the amount of things you can do when you're out adventuring. But the whole point of the game is it's got this dual thing between going on an adventure or going to the town to gather resources and stuff. And that's pretty much the game. Did I miss anything about how the game plays?
No, I think you got
yeah, you just play as one character and then you go
that's
to town.
like the gist of it. I'm sure we can get into details.
Yeah, we'll go more into detail now. So, but that's how the game plays. Very, very. It's very complex. But like the player aid, look at this. This is the player aid. There's two things on your turn you can do. You can go to town and take a town action, or you can wander around and go on an adventure. And then now within those things there's a lot more stuff you have to learn, which takes me to the first part of what we're going to talk about. Actually, that's going to be the second part. So let's talk about storage and setup. This
that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, you didn't end up setting the game up, but to me it was a lot less setup than something like Lord of the Rings, for example, where Lord of the Rings, you got to take all the pieces out, put them everywhere, and then you've got to set up all those tiles, and it could take a little bit of time to set up. You kind of set up as you play. This game, you don't have to do that. You just set everything up, and then you're good to go. Yeah. And it is not a big table hog.
No, it's not. It's actually pretty contained, to be honest. As you can see, like we spread it out, but
our table is like
smaller.
6-7 feet long. It took up like 3 feet by 3 feet, which is like a normal standard 36 by 36 square. We fit everything on the table just fine, and I don't think it's a big table hog. Not like games like Dinosaur Island and things like that. Those games take up like entire 72-inch tables, and so this one's not a table hog. Setup is easy. It's not very difficult, and storage. Everything fits inside the box. I think everything has its place, but they're like some of the cards can stack up a little bit too high, and it barely fits. It feels a lot like another game called Paladins, where everything just barely fits inside the box. Everything barely fits, but it fits. So I don't think there's any issues with the setup or with the... It
doesn't look like it has a lot either, so even though I didn't set it up, it doesn't look like if I were to like say take this somewhere, like would this be a bother to set up for myself? So
yeah, I don't think so either. I think for setup and storage it just gets 2 points. You know what I mean? I don't think it's phenomenal, so like I could go to 1.5, but I feel like I'm being petty at that point. But I think if I was giving it 2 points, it would have to be like perfect storage. So I'll take off a half a point for that. I think 1.5 is good. I think everything fits, but it's kind of like, man, I wish there was a better storage system. I think that's why you have to go to Etsy for. So, but that's 1.5 points for that. And
Etsy's
then
your best friend.
The what?
I said Etsy is your best friend.
Etsy is definitely your best friend when you. But sometimes those Etsy things are like $50, and the game was like $50.
True, but if you want a nice setup, that's what you would do.
Correct. So I still haven't done that yet. But anyways, The next part is the teach and the learn, and this is the part where I think the game takes a little bit of a hit. This is not the rule book, so whenever you see this is actually
I think it's a.
this is like the
story,
the story and the dialogue and stuff, and it's not really even a story as much as it is like little narrative things,
right?
Like a choose your own adventure,
and you can decide what you get to do for that. Yeah.
And so, but this is the rule book, and this is not a short rule book by any means. It is about 40 pages. Yeah, it's 40 pages of instructions, 39 pages of instructions. It was a lot to read, but I read it all this morning in like an hour. Like if you just sit there and you commit yourself to it, because some of the text is pretty big. It's got illustrations. It's got good examples. So as far as the rule book goes, learning it was not hard at all. It's just a long rule book. But for me, I thought that was solid. Now the teach is where it got interesting, because when I'm teaching this game, you tell me about your experience.
So I have ADD. So with that in mind, you can't, like, if you're trying to explain something, especially if there's a lot of rules, you kind of get lost in it. And then, at least for me, I would be like, I think the first like maybe 4 minutes, I was just like listening. And then after that, I was just like looking around.
Yeah,
and then I would start looking. I was like looking at the pieces, and I was like playing around with stuff. And then I would have to ask him, like, okay, so what was this? So it was just, it was a little tough, because I think it took maybe 10 to 12 minutes to explain everything.
So it's a big teach.
It was quite a bit to learn.
It took an hour to read this, and then you want to try to teach it to people. It's going to take you maybe 20 minutes.
So which I appreciate that he learned. He learned. Yeah. He took the hour where shortened it to like a fifth of the time.
At least you appreciate that part of it.
Or a sixth of the time. So I did appreciate that.
Yeah. but like, it's rough.
It was.
And it's my first time teaching it, so it's like, I guess with the teach, the more you play a game, the more of the intricacies of the game you understand, and the easier it becomes to teach. So for my first try, I don't think I taught it very well, so that might be on me. I don't think it may be like the worst game to teach. Because there's games that I don't want to teach because it's just too much.
I feel like, for me it was very lengthy. So I'll be honest, half of it, I received it and I was like, okay, I understand this. Yeah. And then the other half, I had to ask questions as I was playing, because I'm like, okay, I don't remember this. I'm like, is this what I need to do? Is this okay to do? So that's what I remember.
And that's the thing too, because you have to be thorough, because there was a point in the game where it was like, oh wait, we get points for every tent we place? And it's and it's like, oh, I need to start placing my tents then. That's how I'm going to get some points. I forgot
at one point, because that was one of the first things he said. And then it was went away.
Yeah, because, and that's the thing too, is that there's a lot to remember when you're playing the game. But I think that's just on the first playthrough. I think as you play it more, there's a ton of ways that you will, and there's 4 different game modes in this game too. Yeah. There is the adventure mode, which is what we played and we're able to take a look at. The adventure mode is literally just play this as a board game. So there's a lot of people that are asking, even in the comments, somebody was saying that I don't really like campaign-based games. Well, the cool thing is they have the adventure mode, but they also have the arcade mode. And in the arcade mode, it has these this separate deck of cards, which will give you skills and different things like that, and it's got like a whole cool little arcade mode that you can do. But you can basically play this game, each of the maps, because this book has a whole bunch of maps. I don't want to spoil anything. There's a ton of maps. You could pick a map and just play the game as if it was a normal board game.
And that I actually really like, because I feel like you're being able to pay for something that'll give you back a lot of gameplay. So instead, like, once you're done with the campaign version, like, you're like, oh, now I can't play this game anymore because I already know what happens. No, you can still play it with the other versions.
Right. It's not like Splendid Vale, for example. Splendid Vale is group dependent. You need 4 people to play this. Yeah. Playing 2 players, we're missing out on a whole ton of stuff. And one of the things that I was thinking of was, like, what happens if we start the campaign mode, but then those other people don't come? Well, we don't have to play the campaign mode. We could play it on arcade mode, or we could play the other mode, which was character mode. The character mode focuses less on an overall campaign or story, but focuses in on your specific character and their story, developing them, leveling them up, getting new skills. So it's really, really cool, man. The fact that this game can mold into all of those different modes, and I think it does a decent job at all of them.
Yeah.
Even though we still have to play some of that, so this is more so like a preview, not a review. And so, but I really thought that as far as this game goes, man, like the learn and the teach for what it is, it's not too bad, but it's also not that great. I think it takes a pretty big hit from that, and that's why we're giving it a 1 out of 2 points possible. So so we'll have to give it a 1. So the first one we got 1.5, this one we give it a 1.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think once you got and learned everything, like the speed kind of went up and you were okay with it. It was just the first aspect of trying to be able to, okay, can I do this? Like, this is a lot to do. So, yeah, it's okay.
Awesome. Visuals and components.
Oh my gosh, it is so pretty. I am a artistic person, so I actually really liked. Yeah, I really liked how they did things here. I liked each of the character designs. Like, everybody is different. It even is it in this one? I'm not sure if it's in this one. Actually,
what are you looking for?
Just kidding. The people. Are these other people? These are not the people.
The people?
The people.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're in the bag.
Oh, okay.
The little so you randomly take out workers from this
there you
bag.
Go, that's
so like
the one.
This one's each one is unique.
Every single one. So I really appreciate the diverseness of everyone, and how different each of these players look like. You could tell a lot of love and care went into making these.
There he is.
And the hog.
The warthog, man. There's a warthog in the game.
I call him Pumbaa.
Yeah. This man had like three hearts, and I was like, dude, that's a lot of hearts. He's chunky, man. I thought this was really cool.
So I just really liked how, what's his name?
Ryan Lockett.
Yes, him. How he was able to create just all of these different characters, create the map over here, the town, and then be able to create the maps, and not just one map, but multiple and different kinds of gameplay and situations that you can go through. Let me try. I'm trying to see.
Yeah.
I like the little components that they had here, like the chili peppers and the rubies.
Yeah.
The rocks. The dice themselves.
The dice are nice. They're like a marbly look. They have like a marbly texture to them when you look at them.
It kind of looks wooden, kind of, but not really.
The little chits that it comes with are decently thick. They're not like super mega thick or really thin. They're thick, and they punched out really easy when I first punched them out.
I had a lot of fun with this.
The rubies.
I just kept dipping my hand and just
yeah.
Playing with it.
And it came with. It was weird because it came with.
Wait, ASMR. Wait. There you go.
It came with like cardboard ones, and it came with like plastic, and I didn't understand why it came with both. It was kind of weird.
Maybe if you run out.
I guess so. Yeah. It was an interesting thing because I was like, why didn't they do that for the coins and everything else? I guess if you can deluxify this game, that'd be pretty cool. But it came with extra plastic rubies, which I thought was kind of cool. The tents are all made out of little wood. It's got a good mixture of all different types of plastic, cardboard, wood components. So I think component-wise and visual-wise, this game is a 2. Like this gets perfect score for visuals, like 2 out of 2. The iconography is very easy to remember. So it's like, hey, when you see a heart, this is what hearts do, and this is what hands are for, and these are what the eyes do, and the swords and the shields.
Saboto.
Yeah, it's super easy. That was it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that this game was very easy to understand, and the artwork just helped that. And I don't know. I know that it wasn't just Ryan Lockett, that he had, a few people who helped him out. But from what I hear, from what I've heard somewhere, I don't remember where I heard it from, it's that he did.
I just want to show this. I mean,
like, he did the writing,
so beautiful.
the artwork, the game design, a lot of that. And when you look at the credits for the game, I think it was only like a team of 4 people made this game.
Yeah.
That's
as I'm
ridiculous.
looking, because at the bottom of each of these, you can see who wrote the section.
Yeah.
So I see Ryan here. Who else do I see?
All the names are in the front.
Brenna. Oh, are they in the front?
Right here, the 4.
Oh, yeah, all of them. Alf and Mallory, which happens to be his wife. So I felt like that was pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, man. So 2 out of 2. I think this is where the game shines, is in that visual components and the representation there. Let's talk about gameplay mechanics. How did the game play, and what were the mechanics of the game, and how the game worked? This is more so my speed. This is what I enjoy the most. And so, oh, nice. She's so cute. I think everybody's gonna love her.
This is my mom's dog. We call her the rat, but it's okay.
She is. She's a little raton.
She's a little rat.
Ratone. Okay. But yeah, so gameplay and mechanics. It's such a cool, interesting mix of everything. So basically in this game, in order to go on an adventure, you really don't want to go out unless you're prepared. And so your character goes into town and you work or place it on these different buildings, which give you different effects. This one for a bread will let you get a little ride-on bird that you can ride on, and these birds will not only help you carry treasure, but they help you, because it's got the little arrow symbol, to move further distances when you move to the map. I don't know if we gave everybody a good look at what the map looks like. This is what the map looks like, but I'll probably do some B-roll of that. So yeah, so the goal of the game is to just gather resources and get symbols. There was a guy in here. I don't know if you want to help me look for him, babe.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
I do.
Yeah, because you got super upset when you found him. And so I'll take one for now. But basically, you get these characters, and these characters are going to have little symbols on them. Hearts are going to overall give you the amount of things you can do when it comes to placing tents. The hand symbols are your skill. The swords are your combat. Eyes are good for searching, so whenever you land at a spot, it determines how much resources you get. And then there's this guy. I don't know if there's more like him inside of there, but this mysterious stranger literally has a heart symbol, an eyeball symbol.
He's scary looking.
He's really good, though. It's got a heart symbol, an eyeball, a sword, an arrow for movement, and a hand for skill. This guy gives you one of every symbol, and the more symbols you have, the easier it is to do certain things. So the more hands you have, the more easy it is to do adventures and stuff like that. So it's such a cool mechanic, and once you learn what all the symbols do, that's basically how the game works. So you build up as many of those symbols as you get, and then once you're done worker placing, you go onto the adventure map, and then you can start maneuvering around here, putting down tents. Tents is the way that you get victory points, as well as other ways. But the whole point of the game, too, is to fulfill these contracts. If you can do this, you get artifacts that give you those symbols. And the more of them you do, the more points you get. Like this one gives you 6 victory points at the end of the game. And you just walk around doing that for a while until the game ends, until somebody puts all 14 of their tents, and then the game ends there.
Which they have different colored ones, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they have 4 different colors.
So we use the green and red ones, but they have other ones.
They have like yellow and blue, I believe. And then on top of that, you have a reputation marker. So as you're doing certain things, depending on the decisions you make, because like when you're playing the game, there were like moments where it's like, I don't want to spoil anything, but there was like one where it was like, you can help this thing out, or you can hurt this thing. And it's like helping this thing out seems like the right thing to do, which results in
the story.
Yeah, in positive reputation. Oh my gosh. Which results in positive reputation points. And then if you would have hurt the thing instead of helping it, you would have resulted in negative reputation points. But either way, you still get good rewards.
Yeah, because there were some, I think it was the artifact cards. These cards right here. Depending on what type of card you had, there were some that you had to have maybe at least 4 positive reputation, and there were some that you needed negative reputation. So depending on which way you're trying to go, it could help you. But I personally went the positive route because that's where you get the victory points, and that's what I would usually go for. I wanted to have better reputation. So
and negative reputation,
more victory points.
Negative reputation helps you as well for certain artifacts. There's certain artifacts that it's like, hey, if you have negative reputation, you can build this artifact. But yeah, so you just are doing like almost like a worker. It's not worker placement, it's worker movement, I think, where you're just moving one worker. You can't, if you're on a spot, you can't take that action next time. And if somebody's on the spot, you can't take it because somebody's already there. In order to take the action of a spot that somebody's already at, though, this was one of the cool features I liked about the game. You can come over here, to this side, and you can challenge somebody to a duel. And so you can literally fight somebody to gain access to the spot. In a lot of other games, like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
So in other games, there was like, for example, like Lords of Waterdeep, you can't really go onto the spot that somebody else has if somebody's worker is there. And that's one of those worker placement rules that a lot of people didn't like. So Viticulture, for example, they made the Grande worker, where it's like the Grande worker can go to any spot. So that's a way to get rid of that rule. In this one, you can duel somebody for it, which I thought was really cool. And in Lords of Waterdeep, I think there's like a place that you can go that lets you take an action that somebody's currently at. So you duel somebody, and then you guys chuck dice, and that's how the combat relates in this game. Is one person rolls a dice. This guy got a 3. This guy got a 2. They got a higher roll, so they win the combat.
Right.
That's how all the combat in the game works. You can modify your dice roll by having more symbols of the sword symbols. So, for example, in these, and more people, and if you have any people in your party who have a sword symbol on there, then you would basically get
people in your party, or even artifacts.
Or artifacts that you've already paid for, right? Like if it's in your hand and you haven't paid for it, it won't count.
Right.
But if you've paid for it and it's in your tableau, because it's a little bit of tableau building, you can battle against people. So it's like, I got 3, but I have 2 swords on my tableau, so I have a 5. Then you can also pay your heart points, those the hearts that you gather. You can pay those to modify your dice roll even more. Of course, the defender can't do that, but only the person who is attacking can do that.
The fun part, too, is if you're feeling a little spicy, you can go and fight the other person, even if you don't need anything here. If you happen to win, you get 1 victory. Not 1 victory. You get 1 reputation point.
If you fight honorably.
Honorably. That's the key word.
You can fight dirty, and if you choose to fight dirty, you place your character over on this side, and you gain 1 extra sword for combat. So it's like you're fighting dirty, so you have an advantage in combat, but you lose reputation.
Goes down by 1. Right. So I would just for fun sometimes I'd see just Jeremy there, and I'd be like, you know what? Let's fight. So that was pretty fun. The only place you can't fight though is the saloon. This one can go up to 4 people.
That's where you recruit people. Yes. It's the kind of like the local pub, so it's like their job is to just, everybody's just having a good time over there. But yeah, and then once you build up your party, you go on adventure, and then the adventuring is cool because you can get a lot of coins, a lot of gems out there. They have these trade routes, right? Man, we were warring over those trade routes. It's almost like area control, where it's like whoever can control both of the trade routes of a specific symbol gets 9 points. Yes. But if you can stop them from getting the second symbol, then you share it and each person gets 3. And so there were times where Mate was like, you were like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this pepper symbol, or it wasn't the pepper. You went for the, or I took the rock symbol. Then you blocked me, and you took the other rock symbol away from me.
Excuse me?
You're not taking my.
I was gonna be the trade route queen, right? But this guy wanted to mess up my plans.
I had to block you because you were getting so many points.
Because you had more points than I did. He had a whole bunch of artifacts, and I was like, man, I'm not getting enough resources to get artifacts. So you know how I'm gonna get points? Trade routes. This guy thought, let me go get the trade routes as well.
But I mean, isn't that the point of the game? If it's competitive.
No.
So I ended up winning the game 80-71.
Yes.
So it wasn't like super like far apart. Like I wasn't destroying you, but I do think that me blocking off some of those are how I was able to hold on to some of that point. If you had gotten a trade route,
the tiniest bit, because you had artifacts that were worth 12 points.
I only had one worth 12 points,
but that was quite a bit.
It is a
most
lot
of the artifacts were like maybe 2, 3, maybe 5, even 7, and it would be rare to see anything higher than a 7, which he just luckily got a number 12.
Yeah. But think about it: if you had gotten another trade route, you would have been at.
I would have been even.
I wouldn't have gotten 3 points, so I would have went down to 77, and then you would have gotten an extra 6 points, so you would have been at 76-77. So me blocking it is what was able to help me not lose there.
But I blocked him as well when he tried to go get other routes. I was like,
it's not a good exchange, man. I was like, I'd rather get 3 points than get 0 and you getting 9. So you got to watch that area control, and if there's a lot of people playing, I bet you that makes it even more interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, gameplay and mechanic wise, 2 out of 2, man. There's just so many
Yes.
different things here.
Agreed.
I was like, it's a perfect combination of a lot of my favorite mechanisms in games, or things that are similar to them, like adjacent, like worker placement adjacent. It's not really worker placement. I don't know how to describe it. It's just really good.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then I think the last thing
Did
is...
we talk about the mining?
Oh, we didn't talk about the
Well,
mining.
we didn't talk about a lot of these.
We didn't talk a lot about the actions you can
Yeah,
take,
which is
but
fine.
I like what Rodney Smith says. He says there's a solo mode, but we'll leave that to you to discover on your own. And
Right.
so I'm just gonna say that you'll once you learn how to play the game, you'll understand what the actions do. But they're just basic actions to
Yeah.
gain resources. I dropped something.
Right. So there's some parts that while you're walking through your trail that you'll come upon X or O symbols. I originally thought they were hug and kisses symbols. I'm like,
Not
you
at
get
all.
to hug and kiss somebody. No, it was not.
Hung and kiss a bandit. Yeah, but the bandits and these little enemies, they appear. They're basically like in the top corner, and then after you beat one, you just have to roll a higher number or
Yes.
equal to the number that's printed on them, and then you get to keep that as a trophy, and then it's you gain a victory point for
And you
doing
put
that.
a tent
and
on
you
it.
put a little tent on it, which we didn't do. But
Yeah, we forgot that rule, but it's okay.
you know, that might have been why the game took a little longer than we anticipated.
It might have been.
too.
Yeah.
But anyways, once you beat him, the next guy has a 5 combat symbol and then a 6, and then it goes all the way up to 15. But you gain more points by beating those guys. But you really got to focus on combat rolls to get up there. Anyways, 2 out of 2. Gameplay mechanics is perfect. And then last but not least is the fun factor and theme. The theme is fantastic.
I love it.
I love the world that Ryan Lockett has created. Because it's not like he stole an IP and then it's like you could tell this is just a ripoff of Lord of the Rings or it's just a ripoff of Star Wars or something like that. Like, this is his own little world with his own characters. They have names, they have identities.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, man.
I just really, really like I love adventure games.
Yeah.
And I like campaign games too, which I'm excited to start that campaign for this one. But just even besides the campaign part, just the adventure portion and being
Yeah.
able to be like, oh, I can go over here and I can explore. I can get coins this way, rubies this way. I can establish a trade route. Like, just it was really good. I really liked it.
Theme-wise, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And fun factor. This game was fun. Like,
Yeah.
I had an amazing time playing this game. Marini, your scale on how you rate games is very, very, like, she's not a board gamer per se. I think more of her hobbies involve maybe reading and art and things like that. But she enjoys playing a game every now and then. She really likes adventure games. And she's very picky when it comes to games. There are games that I really
I'm
love.
extremely picky.
and I love a game. I'm like, yo, I give this game like an 8 or a 9, and she's like 6. And I'm like,
5.
I'm like, a 6? And I'm like, dude said you liked it. I do like it. And I'm like, but why would you give it a 6?
Because I wouldn't say that I hate the game. Like, if I hate the game, I just give it a 0. But if I'm like, you know what, I can see the allure of the game, I can see why people might like this, then I'll give it a 6. But if I personally do like it, I usually get a 7.5, 8.
Yeah, you
8.5.
go up pretty high, yeah.
Yes. Which in my personal scale, I gave this one, I said 8, but I honestly want to give it an 8.5 for it.
Yeah.
So that was my original thing, was 8, but I was like 8.5 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And like, she said that we weren't even finished with the game. She's like, 8.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's how you know you had a great time.
Yeah.
And I felt the exact same way. I just had so much fun that I was just like, man, I really, really love this game. I'm looking forward to playing it again. We even discussed how we're just going to leave it on the table and just, hey, man, let's just keep coming back to this to do it. I know we've got other campaigns we've got to beat and stuff like that. But, yeah, this is a game that I would definitely leave set up on this table and just come back to over and over and over again. It's that fun. I really, really enjoyed it. So when we look back at our score, the fun factor theme, we gave it 2. Gameplay mechanics got a 2. Visual and components got a 2, so that's 6. Then it got a 1 for the teach and the learn, that's a 7. And then a 1.5 for the setup and storage, which puts it at an 8.5, which is exactly what you gave it. So that's very, very close. And I think that's very close to what it might be rated on BGG.
Oh,
it's got to be somewhere between an 8 and a 9. If this is a 7, then BGG is just wrong. Like, it has to be, because this game is just phenomenal. I could not see this getting anything lower than an 8.
I feel like the only reason somebody would give it a lower rating is because they didn't get to play the fullness of the game.
Right.
So if they only got, this is just it of the game, they probably didn't realize there was more aspects to it. So I feel like knowing all that this game has to offer, it definitely deserves the higher rating. For sure. And it has high playability. So
yeah, the replayability on this game is ridiculous. And I'll tell you what, I give it an 8.5. But it could go up to a 10 because we still have to play through like the campaign.
So at this moment, dude, 8.5.
Look at this. This thing comes with actual like character sheets where you can gain experience and get skills and
which reminds me of
talents and keywords and maps, which maps you play. I'm like, I had fun just playing the adventure mode.
Yeah.
Like I'm already at like an 8.5 in an adventure mode. And as soon as we play campaign, I'm sure it's only gonna get better. So that's pretty much it, man. So that's an 8.5 out of 10. Near and Far. Really, really fun game.
Near, far.
You did say you were going to do this.
Wherever.
So the other games in the series are Above and Below, Near and Far, and then the more recent one was Now or Never. I heard the combat in that game is really good because the combat in this game is just roll dice and whoever had the highest one wins. But I think...
And there's another game like Above and Below, right?
Above and Below,
yeah.
That's regarded as probably the worst one in this series.
Oh, no.
Although I don't think it's a bad...
I mean, it refers to it
I don't think it was badly
here.
rated. I think it's still got decent ratings, Above and Below.
Yeah.
But Near and Far is, I think, the best. And then Now or Never is like hit or miss with some people. But then we've got Sleeping Gods and Sleeping Gods Distant Skies, which is the second part of Sleeping Gods. Sleeping Gods is like this, but just even bigger.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm excited for those games. Same guy.
Ooh, okay.
So there's a lot of games to play. We're gonna try to get to all of them. That'd be really cool. I mean, we really like this one. We got
there's so many.
There's so many games we have to play. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next adventure in Near and Far.
Wherever you are.
Where's that from? Is that from Titanic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I knock these? I've been dying to knock these down.
Go ahead.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, I thought you were gonna like sporadically.
No. I wanted to.
Do the sound again. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Right there.
Scooch over. It's a doggo. Doggo, platypi, random person.
That's the first player token.
Oh.
Alright, ready?
Yeah. Is this what you're wearing? It is wrinkly.
Is it?
Sir.
I was wearing this earlier.
Stain.
You can't see the stain because it's under there. Would you prefer me to wear the other shirt I was just wearing?
No.
That junk had bulgogi all over it.
Bulgogi.
Bulgogi. Smell like beef. Smell like beef.
At least they smell like good beef.
I smell like beef. Alright, let's do this.
Okay.
I can add that in at the end if anybody pays attention. Are we going to stare at each other while we do the intro? Alright, here we go. 3, 2. Done deal. Look at that. First take. There's just something
Near,
about...
far, wherever you are, I believe that my heart will go on. Okay.
Alright. Alright, so now... Alright, try that again.